Dr. Gray stood at the observation window of the Starweaver, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display of their latest discovery. The massive research vessel drifted silently through the void of space, its sensors constantly scanning for new life forms to add to the Galactic Council's ever-growing database of predatory species. "Another reading," Doctor called out his assistant, Reed, her tentacles dancing over the control panel. "This one from the crystalline hunters of Frost 7. Their kill rate is impressive." Dr. Gray nodded, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of the screens. For 20 years, he had led the Council's Predator Research Division, cataloging the deadliest creatures in known space. From the acid-spitting beasts of the jungle worlds to the shadow stalkers of the gas giants, he had seen them all. "Add it to the database," he said, making a note in his personal log. "That brings us to 3,000 species, each one more lethal than the last." The quiet of the research vessel was broken by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed across the bridge, and the crew turned to their stations with practiced efficiency. Dr. Gray moved quickly to the main console, his claws clicking against the metal floor. "Report," he demanded, all 4 eyes focusing on the incoming data. "Unknown signals, Doctor," Reed replied, her tentacles spread wide across multiple interfaces. "They're coming from an unexplored system in Sector 87. It's strange." Dr. Gray leaned closer to the screen. The signals were unlike anything he had seen before, regular patterns that suggested intelligence, but with a primitive edge that didn't match any known spacefaring race. "Show me the system," he ordered. A hologram appeared in the center of the bridge, displaying a yellow star with 8 planets orbiting it. The third planet caught his attention immediately, a blue and green world with white clouds swirling across its surface. "Life signs?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "A world that colorful always held life." "Massive readings, Doctor," another crew member, Hal, reported from his station. "But here's the interesting part. We're picking up artificial satellites. Thousands of them." Dr. Gray's inner eyelids flickered with interest. "A technological species we haven't encountered yet, in this day and age." He checked the sector coordinates again. The system lay in a part of the galaxy that most ships avoided due to its high radiation levels from nearby stellar nurseries. The radiation from the nearby star clusters must have hidden them from our regular surveys, Reed suggested, her color changing slightly with excitement. Dr. Gray made his decision quickly. "Plot a course. Standard observation protocols. We'll start with their predator species and work our way up to the dominant life forms." He paused, then added, "And keep our shields at maximum. New species can be unpredictable." As the Starweaver changed course, Dr. Gray returned to his personal quarters. The walls were lined with specimens, holographic reconstructions of the deadliest hunters he had studied. Each one was a masterpiece of evolution, perfectly adapted to its environment. He activated his log recorder. Personal entry, day 7249. "We may have discovered an isolated technological species. Initial readings suggest an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere and gravity slightly higher than standard. If they've evolved in such conditions, we can expect robust predators, perhaps something to rival the shock hunters of the magnetic worlds or the quantum phase predators of the dark systems." He looked out his window at the distant stars. 20 years of research, and still the galaxy surprises me. End log. Little did Dr. Gray know, he was about to encounter something far more surprising than any creature he had documented before. Something that would challenge everything he thought he knew about predators, about evolution, and about the very nature of life itself. The Starweaver accelerated towards Earth, carrying its crew of researchers towards a discovery that would change the galaxy forever. The Starweaver hung in orbit around Earth's moon, hidden from the primitive radar systems of the blue planet. Dr. Gray and his team had spent 3 days observing, and with each passing hour, their confusion grew. "This makes no sense," Reed said, her tentacles trembling as she reviewed the latest footage. "They're so inefficient. Dr. Gray watched the video feeds with all four eyes wide open. The humans below didn't have the massive teeth of the cave beasts of Rigel 6 or the poisonous claws of the tree stalkers from the jungle moons. They weren't particularly fast or strong, yet something about them made his scales tingle with unease. "Play that hunting sequence again," he ordered, pointing to one of the screens. The footage showed three humans pursuing a four-legged creature. Their database identified it as a deer across an open plain. The deer was faster, more agile, and clearly better adapted for running. But the humans didn't give up. They just kept following it. Hour after hour, under the hot sun. "Look at their skin," Tal pointed out from his station. "It's covered in water." "Some kind of defense mechanism," Reed suggested. Dr. Gray shook his head. "No, it's more like a cooling system. They're releasing water to control their temperature." He couldn't hide the amazement in his voice. "I've never seen anything like it." Another screen showed humans in a different environment, this one covered in ice and snow. They wore artificial skins, clothes, according to their data, and they carried tools made of metal and synthetic materials. "Doctor," called out Reed, "you need to see this." She played a new video feed. It showed humans gathering around a flat surface, placing dead plants and animals on it. Then came the most shocking part. They created fire, controlled fire, and they used it to change their food. "They're cooking," Dr. Gray said, the word feeling strange in his mouth. "They're using fire to pre-digest their food outside their bodies." The crew fell silent, watching as the humans below went about their daily lives. They built structures, used complex tools, and most disturbingly, they helped each other. When one human was injured, others would care for it, even if it couldn't contribute to the group. "This defies everything we know about predator species," Tal said, his voice quiet. "Predators don't waste energy helping the weak." Dr. Gray moved closer to the main screen, studying the group of humans as they worked together to build a shelter. "Maybe that's why we've never seen anything like them before. They're not just surviving. They're changing their environment to suit their needs." A new alert caught their attention. Reed quickly brought up the feed. "Doctor, look at this one. The human is injured." The video showed a human with a damaged leg. According to their scans, the bone was broken. On any other world, such an injury would mean death for a predator. But these humans had wrapped the leg in hard material and were helping the injured one move around. "They heal," Dr. Gray whispered. "They don't just survive injuries. They recover from them. Add that to their endurance hunting, their tool use, their cooking." He trailed off, his inner eyelids flickering rapidly as he processed the implications. "Should we report this to the council?" Reed asked. Dr. Gray stared at the screens, watching the humans go about their lives, building, hunting, helping each other. Everything about them violated the normal rules of predator species. They weren't the strongest, fastest, or most deadly creatures he'd ever seen, but something about them made him more uneasy than any acid-spitting monster or quantum phase hunter ever had. "Yes," he finally said. "The council needs to know about this. But first, we need more data. Keep observing. I want to know everything about these humans." The Starweaver continued its silent watch, its crew unaware that they were documenting what would soon be recognized as the most surprising species in the galaxy. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council towered above Dr. Gray, its crystal walls reaching up into darkness. 50 council members sat in rising tiers, their various forms, from gaseous clouds to crystalline structures, all focused on him. He stood at the center platform, his research data ready to display. "Proceed with your report, Dr. Gray," the head counselor said, her light form pulsing gently. Dr. Gray raised his hand, activating the chamber's holographic system. The image of Earth appeared above him, spinning slowly. "Honored Council, what I'm about to show you challenges everything we know about predator species." He started the first video recording. "These are humans, the dominant species of planet E3. The council chamber filled with murmurs as they watched humans running across open ground, chasing prey. As you can see, they're not particularly impressive physically, Dr. Gray continued. No natural weapons, no armor, no venom. But watch what happens as the hunt continues. The video showed the humans following their prey for hours. The deer stumbled, exhausted, while the humans kept going. They don't kill with strength or speed, Dr. Gray explained. They exhaust their prey. Their bodies can release heat through their skin using water, a process they call sweating. No other known species can do this as efficiently. One of the council members, a crystalline being, spoke up. This seems inefficient. Surely the energy cost. That's just it, Dr. Gray interrupted, his excitement making him forget protocol. They recover energy while moving. Look at this data. He displayed charts showing human vital signs during the hunt. Their bodies are incredibly efficient at repair and recovery. They can heal from injuries that would kill most predators. He changed the display to show humans using tools. But that's not the most concerning part. They're tool users, yes, but look at how quickly they improve their tools. The hologram showed a rapid sequence of human technological advancement, from simple spears to complex machines, all in a remarkably short time. In the mere weeks we observed them, we recorded 17 different improvements to their existing tools, Dr. Gray said. They never stop making things better. The head counselor's light dimmed slightly. Dr. Gray, while this is interesting, I fail to see why it required an emergency session. Dr. Gray took a deep breath. Because of this, he played the final recording. Humans helping an injured member of their group. They cooperate in ways we've never seen in a predator species. They share information. They teach each other. When one human makes an improvement, all humans can learn it. The chamber erupted in discussions. Dr. Gray waited for them to quiet down before continuing. But the most important thing isn't their tools, their endurance, or even their cooperation. It's this. He displayed a final set of data. They're not the best at anything. Not the strongest, fastest, or most deadly. But they're good enough at everything to be dangerous. And they never stop improving. These seem like the traits of prey, not predators, another council member observed. Exactly, Dr. Gray said. That's what makes them so unique. They have the drive of a predator species, but the adaptability of prey. They can survive in any environment, use any tool, and learn any skill. And they do it together. The head counselor raised her light form. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I'm suggesting that we've discovered something new, a species that doesn't fit our normal categories. They're not the deadliest because of what they can do now. They're deadly because of what they might become. The council chamber fell silent. Dr. Gray's words hung in the air as the implications sank in. Finally, the head counselor spoke. Your recommendation, Doctor. We need to study them more closely, but carefully. Very carefully. Because if they discover us before we understand them fully. He let the thought hang unfinished. As the council debated his findings, Dr. Gray knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had just become a much more interesting place. The Starweaver's cloaking systems failed during a powerful solar flare. Dr. Gray stood at the bridge, watching in horror as their ship's emergency landing protocols activated. They were going down, right in the middle of what their database identified as a national park. Damage report, he called out, his scales darkening with stress. Reed's tentacles flew across the control panel. Main power at 20%. Cloaking completely offline. We have to land, Doctor. The research vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing red with heat. They managed to slow their descent enough to avoid a crash, but the landing was still rough. The ship came to rest in a small clearing surrounded by tall trees. Status? Dr. Gray asked, picking himself up from the floor. No major damage, Tal reported, but we need at least 6 hours to restore power and cloaking. Dr. Gray felt his inner eyelids flutter with anxiety. 6 hours exposed on a planet they were supposed to be secretly observing. Set up perimeter sensors. We can't risk. The alarm cut him off. Reed's color changed to pale blue, her species equivalent of fear. Doctor, we have humans approaching. The crew gathered around the main screen. Through the ship's external cameras, they could see a group of 5 humans walking toward them. They wore what the database identified as hiking gear and carried camping equipment. They must have seen us come down, Tal said quietly. Dr. Gray expected the humans to run away. Any sensible species would flee from an unknown object that fell from the sky. Instead, the humans were walking straight toward them. Are they showing signs of aggression? He asked. Reed checked the bioscanners. No, doctor. Their stress levels are elevated, but not in a way that suggests fear or anger. They're excited. The humans were closer now. One of them was speaking into a small device, probably calling for help. But they didn't stop advancing. Even more surprisingly, they were carrying what looked like medical supplies and tools. They think we're hurt, Dr. Gray realized. They're coming to help us. The situation got worse when one of the ship's damaged panels released a burst of hot plasma, starting a small fire in the surrounding vegetation. The logical response would be for the humans to retreat from the dangerous situation. They didn't. Instead, 3 of the humans began fighting the fire with containers of water and dirt, while the other 2 continued approaching the ship, calling out in their language. The universal translator was picking up phrases like, "Are you okay?" and "We're here to help." This violates every safety protocol we have, Tal said, his voice shaking. We need to take off now. But Dr. Gray couldn't look away from the screen. The humans were now working in the dangerous conditions around the ship, trying to contain the fire despite the risk of more plasma bursts. Their body temperature was rising to dangerous levels, but they didn't stop. They just kept going. Record everything, he ordered. The council needs to see this. For the next 4 hours, the crew watched in amazement as the humans worked tirelessly. They contained the fire, cleared debris, and repeatedly tried to communicate with the ship. Even when emergency vehicles arrived with more humans, they didn't flee or attack. They set up a perimeter and continued trying to help. Just before the ship's power restored, Dr. Gray made a final log entry. We came to study Earth's predators. Instead, we found something far more remarkable, a species that treats unknown life as something to be helped rather than feared. And somehow, that makes them more extraordinary than any predator we've ever encountered. The Starweaver lifted off as soon as its cloaking systems came back online, leaving behind a group of very confused but excited humans. But Dr. Gray knew this wouldn't be the last encounter between their species. The humans had proven themselves to be far too interesting to ignore. Dr. Gray stood once again in the grand chamber, but this time something was different. The council members weren't just listening politely. They were leaning forward, their attention fixed on the holographic displays floating in the chamber center. Play the rescue attempt footage, he commanded. The chamber filled with images of humans working to help the crashed Starweaver. What you're seeing isn't unique, Dr. Gray continued. Our research ships have collected similar recordings from across their planet. He gestured, and new images appeared. Humans rushing into burning buildings, diving into rough seas, and climbing dangerous mountains, all to help others. A council member shaped like a floating crystal spoke up. But surely this is just a small group of their species, some kind of specialized rescue unit. Dr. Gray shook his head. No, this behavior is common. Watch this. He played a series of clips showing ordinary humans helping each other in various situations. They call it being a good Samaritan, helping strangers without expecting anything in return. The head counselor's light form pulsed with concern. This still doesn't explain why you've called another emergency session, Doctor. Because it's not just about helping others, Dr. Gray said. He pulled up new data streams. Look at how they handle technology. The display showed humans finding pieces of broken machinery. Instead of just fixing it, They made it better. When they discovered new materials, they didn't just use them. They found ways to improve them. In the 3 months since our crash landing, they've made 47 different improvements to their firefighting equipment alone, Dr. Gray explained. They saw a problem and didn't just solve it. They kept making the solution better. He brought up more readings and their adaptability. It's unlike anything we've seen. The screen showed humans living in every environment on their planet. Frozen wastelands, burning deserts, deep forests, and crowded cities. But here's what truly makes them dangerous, Dr. Gray said, his voice growing serious. They learn from everything. He displayed images of humans studying animal behaviors, copying natural designs, and adapting them for their own use. The chamber grew quiet as Dr. Gray played his final piece of evidence, footage of humans recovering from injuries that would kill most species. They don't just survive. They come back stronger. When something hurts them, they study it, learn from it, and find ways to prevent it from happening again. A gaseous council member swirled nervously. Are you suggesting they're a threat? I'm suggesting they're something we've never seen before, Dr. Gray replied. They're not the strongest, fastest, or most deadly creatures in the galaxy, but they might be the most dangerous, because they never stop improving. He gestured at the displays showing human history, their rapid advancement from simple tools to complex machines in a remarkably short time. Most species evolved to be perfect predators in their environment. Humans evolved to be adequate at everything. And then they decided adequate wasn't good enough. The head counselors liked him thoughtfully. Your recommendation. Dr. Gray looked at the images of humans, helping each other, learning, adapting, and constantly pushing forward. We need to recognize them for what they are, not just another species, but something entirely new. They're predators who act like prey who act like predators, and builders who never stop building. As the council debated his words, Dr. Gray added one final thought. And we need to decide quickly, because every day we wait, they're learning more, building more, and growing stronger. They may not be the deadliest predators in the galaxy today, but tomorrow, that's a different story. The chamber erupted in discussion as the council members realized the truth. They weren't just dealing with another primitive species. They were watching the birth of something unprecedented in galactic history. Dr. Gray stared at his screen in disbelief. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Ships from various species were making accidental contact with humans. Despite the Council's orders to avoid Earth, everyone wanted to see these unusual creatures for themselves. Another incident, Dr. Reed said, her tentacles moving nervously as she brought up the latest report. A trading vessel claimed they had engine trouble and landed near a human city. Let me guess, Dr. Gray said, rubbing his tired eyes. The humans helped them. Yes, but that's not the concerning part. Reed displayed the footage. Look what happened after the traders left. The video showed humans examining the alien technology left behind. Within days, they had not only understood it but had started improving it. They took the alien engine design and made it more efficient, using materials they had on Earth. 3 days, Dr. Gray muttered. It took them 3 days to improve technology that took us centuries to develop. He moved to the main research lab, where his team was analyzing data from dozens of unofficial encounters. Each screen showed something new. Humans learning alien languages at incredible speeds, figuring out how to operate complex devices, and even reverse engineering some of the simpler alien technologies. They're like. Tal searched for the right words, like water finding cracks in a wall. They see patterns we miss, find uses for things we never considered. Dr. Gray watched as another report came in. This time, humans had helped a crashed research vessel in their southern ocean. Instead of just rescuing the crew, they had studied the ship's water filtration system and were already working on a better version. Pull up the adaptation rate chart, he ordered. A hologram appeared, showing how quickly humans were learning and improving upon each piece of alien technology they encountered. The line on the graph kept getting steeper. It's not just their technology, Reed added, bringing up more data. Look at their social changes. The screen showed humans excitedly sharing stories of alien encounters, preparing for more contact, and most remarkably, staying calm about the whole situation. Instead of panicking about aliens, they were curious, eager to learn more. They're treating it like an opportunity, not a threat, Dr. Gray observed. He pulled up his report template and began recording. Warning Report 47. Unofficial contact with humans has revealed an unprecedented situation. They're not just learning our technology. They're improving it. Every encounter, every piece of advanced technology they see, becomes a stepping stone for them. He paused, watching a new video of humans testing their improved version of alien water purification. Most concerning is their reaction to advanced technology. Instead of being intimidated, they're excited. Instead of copying, they're innovating. Another alert flashed. More unofficial landings, more human adaptations. Dr. Gray continued his report. The humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. But for them, necessity isn't just about survival. They see the possibility of improvement as a form of necessity. They don't just want to do things, they need to do them better. He added footage of humans teaching each other about alien technology, sharing their discoveries freely. They're not just dangerous because they learn quickly. They're dangerous because they learn together. One human's discovery becomes every human's opportunity. As he finished his report, Dr. Gray received a message from the council. They wanted another emergency meeting. But this time, he knew it wasn't just about observing humans anymore. Something had to be done. Looking at the streams of data showing human advancement, Dr. Gray realized the galaxy was about to change forever. The only question was, would the council recognize the truth before it was too late? Prepare my presentation for the council, he told Reed, and include everything, especially the adaptation rates. They need to understand what we're dealing with. The evidence was clear. Humanity wasn't just another species discovering the galaxy. They were about to reshape it. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was packed, not just with council members, but with representatives from every major spacefaring race. Dr. Gray stood at the center, preparing to deliver his final report on humanity. Honored Council, he began, his voice steady despite his nerves. I stand before you today not to warn you of a threat, but to tell you of an opportunity. But first, let me show you something remarkable. He activated the main display, showing a series of images from Earth. 6 months ago, humans had never seen alien technology. Today, they've improved upon every piece of tech they've encountered. The images showed human modifications to alien devices, each one more efficient than the original. But that's not what makes them special, Dr. Gray continued. This does. He played a video of humans teaching each other, sharing discoveries freely across their world through their global communication network. Most species guard their advances, keeping them secret for advantage. Humans share them. They compete not by hiding knowledge, but by finding new ways to use it. The chamber filled with murmurs as Dr. Gray displayed more data. They don't just adapt technology, they adapt themselves. The screen showed humans living in space stations, deep sea bases, and desert research posts, thriving in places that should have been impossible for them. When we first discovered humans, we thought they weren't special. No natural weapons, no extraordinary abilities. We were wrong. He paused, letting his words sink in. They're special precisely because they're not the best at anything, except becoming better. A council member interrupted, but surely their advancement will slow down. All species reach their limits. Dr. Gray shook his head. That's just it. Humans don't accept limits. Watch this. He showed footage of human children learning about alien technology, asking questions adults hadn't thought of, seeing possibilities others missed. Each new generation starts where the last one ended. They don't just pass on knowledge. They pass on the drive to improve it. They're not satisfied with being good enough. They always ask, what if, and why not? The head counselor's light form brightened. Your conclusion, Doctor. Dr. Gray took a deep breath. Humanity isn't the deadliest species because they're the strongest, fastest, or most powerful. They're the deadliest because they never stop growing, never stop learning, never stop helping each other become better. He displayed his final data set, a projection of human advancement over the next decade. The numbers were staggering. We have two choices. We can try to contain them, which will fail, or we can welcome them, learn from them, and grow with them. The chamber erupted in discussion. Dr. Gray waited for quiet before delivering his final words. I've spent my career studying the deadliest creatures in the galaxy, but humans taught me something new. True power isn't in being the best. It's in never stopping trying to be better. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes and sensor arrays of each species present. They will join the galactic community. The only question is, will we be their teachers, their students, or their obstacles? Because I promise you this, they will learn from us either way. The council debated for hours. In the end, they made the only choice they could. Earth would be contacted officially. Humanity welcomed into the galactic community. As Dr. Gray prepared to head back to Earth with the first official contact team, he made one final log entry. We thought we were studying Earth's predators. Instead, we discovered something far more remarkable. A species that turns every challenge into an opportunity, every failure into a lesson, and every limit into a goal to overcome. They're not the deadliest because they can kill. They're the deadliest because they can inspire even their rivals to become better. He looked at Earth through his ship's window, the blue planet growing larger as they approached. The galaxy will never be the same. And that's exactly what makes humanity so extraordinary.